All right, we will go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone that has joined us. Excited to speak with y'all today on the first and of hopefully many of these types of webinars. Today, we'll be talking about the top hybrid work trends in 2024. Um, See a few customers on our attendees list, so hello to all of you, and then I see some new names as well. For those of y'all that I've not had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name is Teddy Connell. I am the manager of our customer success team here at Office R&D. I lead a team globally whose main objective is to make sure our customers are maximizing their value, not only out of their Office R&D subscription, but out of their entire hybrid work program as well. Wonderful to meet everybody. We have a very special guest with us today. He is our GM and Vice President of our hybrid work division, the proverbial man behind the Ivan Guberkov. Ivan, thanks for taking the time to speak with us today. I'd love to let you introduce yourself here.
Hello everyone. It's very hard to follow this kind of awesome introduction that Teddy did. As he mentioned, I'm leading the hybrid work division over here at Office R&D. I'm extremely happy to be here to share what we are hearing from our customers, what we're seeing of some of the more stable trends that will be persisting next year, and to hopefully give you some tips and tricks on how to figure out this whole hybrid work thing in 2024 and keep your employees happy. So again, pleasure to be here, and welcome to everyone.
Thanks, Ivan. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. All right, just a few housekeeping items before we get started. First and foremost, we will share the presentation with all attendees after the live broadcast. It will be sent to you via the emails you registered with, as well as available on our website afterwards as well. So if you're taking away something from today's discussion that you feel is truly valuable and you want to share, you'll have that recording to distribute amongst your networks. If you have any questions as we're going through this presentation, please use the chat to go ahead and drop those questions in, and we will address those at the end. So if you have a question on slide 4 or a particular trend, feel free to get into it. We can always come back to it towards the end of our presentation. Thirdly, please interact with our poll. We do have some dedicated time to ask a question. Your insights are extremely valuable. So we want to make this interactive and as insightful as possible. So your participation is greatly appreciated both during the poll and our Q&A at the end. Please stay tuned at the end. Speaking of that, we will be giving away some special giveaways. We have our 2024 Hybrid Work Trends Report, as well as some templates to help you thrive in the hybrid work environment as well. So please stay through to the end. We're really excited to present everything to you today. So before we get to 2024, let's talk about where we are at 2023. So these data points here are pulled from our hybrid work trends of 2023. 74% of US companies are planning or already using a hybrid work model. 44% of employees want to work hybrid, and 5% of businesses intend to have employees come back to the office full time. Essentially, what this is telling us is hybrid work is no longer a temporary solution, rather a long-term strategy. So this is the current state of where we are. Let's move into where we're heading and what we're seeing based on some of our trends. Trend number one that we are seeing for 2024 is a consolidation of your tech stack when it comes to hybrid work. A lot of our customers, you'll see a number of eclectic tech stacks when it comes to managing their hybrid work programs initially, a lot of individual solutions. So that shift is from an isolated tools to a more comprehensive model, which is coming from a need of more holistic and multi-dimensional solutions. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on this consolidation of the hybrid work tech stack.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I just want to give a few words about hybrid work in general and what we're seeing on the market, just to add on the last slide. I absolutely want to make it clear that we are seeing these kind of stabilization into the new way of working that is probably going to persist in the future. I would say that during the pandemic in 2020, we saw this kind of swing towards remote work. We saw a lot of proponents of remote work that were saying, hey, this is the future. Now everyone is going to be working remotely and nobody's going to go back to the office. And like a pendulum, this kind of swung back a little bit towards in-office work, and we're now in this kind of middle state that most of us call hybrid work. And there have been tons of debates. Is this going to stay the way it is? It's too complicated to manage. There's too much ambiguity. You should go into one of the two extremes, and probably we're going to go back to the office at the end of the day. Based on our trends and also reports that I'm looking at, one report from Gallup that was recently released, we're seeing these kind of stabilization where basically around 50% of employees are continuing to work in a hybrid environment. And the biggest loser there is actually remote work. So remote work went down to around 25-30% of employees. And we're talking about employees that can actually work remote. We all know that there are jobs that cannot be done in a remote environment. So it seems like we are going to be moving forward with hybrid work. And I think at this point, it's probably better if we just call it the new way we work rather than tagging it as hybrid work. Another thing that I just wanted to say is that based on the research and the trends as well, more than 80% of chief HRs, like chief people officers in companies, are also sharing that in the next 12 months, basically in 2024, they're not really planning in reducing the flexibility that they're providing to their employees, which is probably another testament to the staying power hybrid work, at least in 2024. And another thing that I believe is pushing in that trend is the fact that almost 40% of mainly CFOs and facility managers, real estate professionals in organizations are actually thinking about shrinking their real estate footprint. We all know what kind of macroeconomic environment we are currently in. So this is, again, one additional factor that probably pushes towards hybrid work, towards this flexibility and the need to manage desk sharing, hot desking, desk hoteling, and all of that. With all of that, I'm going to make this segue into the technology stack. As you, Teddy, shared, there's a plethora of different kind of tools that appeared to help you manage your desks, your parking spots, your meeting rooms, and every basically aspect of your office. And most of them were bought in a rush during the pandemic because everybody was anticipating that we're going to need some sort of solution to manage this new environment. We didn't always make evaluations, or the buyers didn't really make deep evaluations. Also, there weren't that many polished tools. We were mainly relying on old school IWMS systems to fill in that gap. And this led to a bloating of a tech stack that is already too large. Like, a lot of companies are complaining about that. So what I'm seeing is this demand now from the IT departments, which are the primary buyers of such solutions like Office R&D Hybrid, where they basically say we want to have one solution, one tool to manage our desk bookings, our meeting room management needs, where we have all the analytics. And another factor that I think pushes a lot towards this consolidation of the tech stack is, again, the macroeconomic environment. All of us are very much pushed by our CFOs, by the finance departments, to make cuts here and there, to be as optimal as possible with our expenditure, to get a good return investment on them, which basically means trying to have one vendor probably get a better price and making sure you get the best quality. And another factor is they're trying to have one tool that consolidates all the data about the usage of the office, which helps them with these decisions about reduction of the real estate footprint. So data, analytics, I don't know if you're going to have sensors or if you're going to be using check-ins in your building to understand how many people are actually using your office, are becoming more and more important. And if you have like 10 different tools, you then have to have a BI tool, then a data warehouse, and professionals that take care of consolidating all of that data. So again, this pushes towards one solution that can handle most of this and kind of help with those kind of decisions. And last but not least, I would say that a very important factor for all of them is also how many of these solutions are going to be used in the long term, because a good number of them actually become shelfware. So they get bought, employees don't really adopt them, or there isn't good onboarding, and you're left with a pretty expensive solution. Most of the vendors we're seeing out there actually ask for 3-year contracts, maybe because they kind of know that, I mean, churn is a big risk with these kind of solutions. So finding a solution that can really engage people and get them to use it is a big challenge. And I'm actually going to turn this to you now, because you are working with our customers on a daily basis. And I'm just wondering, what do you see around the consolidation, and also how are you seeing customers kind of taking care of this problem with the shelfware, I think, and basically employees not using the new tools that are getting bought by the IT departments?
Yeah, that's a great question. Integrations, integrations, and integrations. The most one of the most popular components of our software, and over 90% of our customer base are actually utilizing some form of integrations. You talk about getting employees to use it. We have a number of integrations with existing tech stacks, Microsoft Teams, Slack, and G Suite, where our customers' employees are able to book in environments that they're already used to with those UIs. So we're seeing an appless experience that they have, and that's the employee side. Additionally, with our customers, I essentially say we have two end users. We have the employees who are booking the space, but we also have the workplace management teams or admins who are managing that space via our platform as well. A lot of times, as we all know, onboarding employees is expensive, both temporally and financially. So when we are able to connect with Active Directories, we're taking off a lot of the load of your IT teams, your HR teams, those workplace management teams, of making sure that when employees are added, if they're added correctly with the right permissions. And additionally, they have the ability to book right as soon as they're added to those Active Directories. So by streamlining this approach and plug and play, we're able to increase that employee satisfaction as well as the end user experience on the admin side as well. I think the most interesting piece is the brand new category in G2 as well. There's a whole categorization of software, hybrid enablement. Definitely speaks to the move of what people are looking for here.
Teddy, I have this kind of feeling that this is the like HubSpot moment for the IWMS industry. Like HubSpot was basically the new CRM, the sleek UX, UI design, the easy to use but yet powerful kind of tool for the CRM market that kind of became a real competitor for the big players there. I think that the IWMSs that were dominating this market for workplace management are actually going to see plenty of new competitors entering that have sleek design, that are easy to use, that are very employee friendly, and they're going to really see a lot of competition in that. So I have a feeling that this new category kind of also verifies that for the future as well from a software perspective. Yeah.
Absolutely. Excellent. Let's move on to trend number 2 here. Thanks, Yvonne, for your take on that. Trend number 2 that we're expecting to see in 2024 is a formalization of hybrid work schedules. A LinkedIn survey showed that 71% of employees believe flexibility is important to their job satisfaction. Coincidentally, in that same LinkedIn survey, 80% believe in-person collaboration is also essential. So Yvonne, tell us a little bit more about what the trends in the industry are towards formalization of these hybrid work schedules.
Well, Teddy, I mean, you probably know it better, but hybrid work schedules are probably the toughest part of this whole thing with introducing new ways of working. Mainly because we're talking about schedules, and they kind of contradict the whole idea of flexibility. So you can have flexible schedules, but they kind of take off some of the freedom that remote work gave most of the people out there that are working. So companies are struggling a lot with this. I would say that we have been talking about policies and structuring hybrid work in one way or another, even in 2021, towards the end of it, when there was some return in certain countries. When we spoke with HR teams predominantly, the reality is that none of them had a plan. When you ask them, what's your policy? Do you have one? More than 90% of the people we talked to, they were like, not really. We're just testing it out. We haven't formalized it. We haven't shared it. And this presents a lot of challenges because if employees don't really know when they should come to work, should they come to work, and then get asked why you're not coming to the office. I mean, what expectations can you have for the people if you haven't set any kind of guidelines? Second of all, some companies are taking it also too far when they are just mandating, like you should come to the office this many days, but don't really give a good reason why are we doing this whole thing. So it's a bit of a mess. The good news is that I think we're starting to come up with kind of these predominant ways of working, like usually 2-3 days per week is kind of the requirement we see in terms of work schedules. Of course, Tuesday till Thursday are the kind of the most visited days in the office. Mondays and Fridays are very quiet, especially Fridays. Um, and I think it's very important over here to figure this out through some sort of workplace policy that you need to instill in there. Uh, and I think that we're also seeing that with the macroeconomic environment, with the I would say softening demand for workers on the market, the power is going back to the employer a little bit, and now employers are feeling that they can actually say, hey, we want you in the office this many days. It doesn't always work. I would say sometimes people decide to leave, but I can definitely say that we're seeing more and more formalized work schedules, and I think there are going to be even more of them in 2024.
Yeah, and we're definitely seeing it on the customer side as well. When we release that hybrid work policies, everyone is excited to start with those right away. And when I'm speaking with the program managers and executive sponsors, of these hybrid work programs, my advice is always to take a step back, cast a wider net. Don't try to figure it out right away. During our client mobilization process, when we're rolling these out, we have a 30 and a 90-day review with our customers. So we typically recommend taking a step back, keeping everything open, and encouraging the employees to book when works for them. And don't just pick Tuesday because it's the most convenient. Try switching it up a little bit. You might find that something that employee enjoys working on Thursday more than they do Tuesday, or perhaps they like starting their week on Monday. Promote that flexibility and then practice what you preach as well. If you're going to establish a hybrid work policy, have it come from the top. If it's coming from the top all the way down, practice that as well. Here's where I found really liked, this office on this day, this desk on this particular day. And then conversely, have the employees give their feedback too and listen to that feedback. This is why I want to come in these days. This is why my team should be here. But the very first starting point should be keeping it open. Let the data speak for itself.
Yeah. One last thing I would like to add to this, uh, especially HR teams, all of them are super concerned. Some are also executive teams. Okay, what's going to happen if we formalize our work schedule? Are people going to leave? As Teddy said, just ask for feedback. You're going to be surprised. There are actually some people that are kind of fed up with remote work, especially if their commute is manageable. And second of all, there is no like template on how you can, like, if this works for Google, for example, doesn't mean it's going to work for you. It's going to be a process. It's going to take time. So the sooner you start experimenting with it and taking back some data points and feedback, the sooner you're going to have some sort of working schedule for your employees that they can follow and they can really enjoy. But yeah, it takes time and it takes effort. There's no recipe, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. And version one doesn't have to be the final solution. We can
Oh, yeah.
always come back, take a look, and make changes when we need to as well. Yeah. And I think this leads into trend three that we're going to be seeing in 2024 is that ever long standoff or struggle between employees and employer and bringing them back to the office. And it'll certainly continue as well. As you introduce hybrid work schedules, people were comfortable working from home. This will certainly increase that. 90% of companies planning to return fully to the or back to the office by 2024. And we're also seeing in the headlines companies saying we're going to be remote, are now walking that back and saying we need to be back in the office as well. So this will only exacerbate that that I don't want to call it conflict, but let's call it tension between employee and employer. Vaughn, just from what you've seen over the last year and since we've started this product, what are your thoughts?
Well, I would say that all the tries that I've seen out there to bring back employees with free lunch, having exclusive lounges, some people have spent millions and millions of dollars to actually create lounges where they give like lunches, champagne, and all of that. It doesn't really work long term. Um, Basically, at this point, people are just coming to grab a coffee or grab a lunch, and they're going back to their home. It's happening a lot. So food, drinks, beverages are only going to have a very limited impact. At the end of the day, I do believe that a few things here would actually help bring employees, or we're seeing those things kind of work. First of all, provide very clear expectations from your teams. Do you want them in the office, and why? Why is that? Um, I wouldn't like you can call it guidance, you can call it workplace policy. Most of the companies have resorted to workplace policies. I was looking into that very closely. So around 50% of employees in the US have been asked, I mean, employees that can go remote have been asked to actually come back to the office. And most of them, like around 60% of the ones that have been asked to come back to the office, have some sort of a workplace policy. It can be structured, as it's called, which means that you're asked to come to the office on specific days, and of course specific number of days as well, every week, or a little bit more unstructured, which is like, we want you to be in the office 2 days per week or 5 days per month, whatever it is. You decide which days you're going to join, but at least you have a guidance, and now you have people coming back to the office. It's even better actually if you provide people with a reason why. And the biggest benefit actually that we have seen is this ability to, especially for new employees, to actually understand what is this company all about, meet their colleagues, establish some relationships. At the end of the day, we are social creatures. I know we're standing in front of Zoom all day and we're like talking about AI, but we still kind of like to talk to some colleagues, even if we basically complain about something or if we talk about problems. It's still a good way to kind of spend some time and to get to know people that we work with and establish relationships. And that's why I think it's so important when you do workplace policies. The best way to create them is actually to work collaboratively with your team leaders and your managers. The biggest engagement, around 41% engagement versus less than 25-30%, is when you are able to get the team manager to get feedback from the employees on which days work best for them, so they can synchronize, they can come at the same time, they can probably have a lunch, they can have, I don't know, a beer, a drink after that, after work, and really benefit from this collaboration. Otherwise, it's very hard, I think, to just get employees back with any kind of perks. And that's what I kind of observed around workplace policies, more or less.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Figuring out what drives them to the office, where do they see value when they are in the office, certainly makes sense.
Do you have, Teddy, I'm just curious, in all of your conversations, do you have any kind of crazier examples on how people are like employers are trying to lure back employees back in the office?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know about crazy. We have a one customer that I think has a particularly interesting program. They're calling it their flock program. It's really interesting. So they have distributed groups across the country. And what they'll do is every month they're bringing in all of those employees located in that geography, and they've actually reconverted their office floor plate. So they had the traditional, bullpen in the middle, private offices along the line, one or two conference rooms there. On these flock days, what they have is, and they reconverted those private offices into smaller touch point rooms. So 4-person offices, 6-person offices. So managers can meet with their team, everyone can interact, get their meetings done, whether that be on a weekly, bi-weekly basis. And then to your point, in the bullpen, they've actually converted that into an event space as well. So it's a productive meeting where they get to know their colleagues that they only see via Zoom, get to introduce new colleagues. It's like a new hire orientation party as well. So there's a lot of value when they're bringing people into the office as well, and they're leveraging Office R&D Hybrid to manage those meetups.
Oh wow. Okay, nice. I also know about a customer that went, I think, in a different direction. They're actually basically giving you a bonus if you come to the office for a specific number of days. I was kind of wondering, I still haven't received a response on why and what's the benefit, like besides seeing a more occupied office. Maybe there's some sort of arrangement with the landlord that they get a discount, or I don't know, some tax breaks that they get if there's a specific occupancy level. But we have even seen basically people getting paid off for that. I'm not promoting that. I'm just sharing another crazy example of how people are trying to get the employees back in the office.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's one of the major drawbacks that you'll always hear about, bringing employees back to the office is, well, it's more expensive, particularly in driving cities. Gas is going up, so it's more expensive to get there. So even a commuting stipend is an incentive you can use to bring people back to the office as well, or even just a straight up spiff where you get 50 extra bucks if you come in 5 times a week.
Yeah. But honestly, if I have to summarize my opinion on this, it's hard. Again, I haven't seen something that works universally. It very much depends on the culture of the company. But one thing people hate is to commute like for, I don't know, 60, 45, 60 minutes, then to come to an office where most of their team is not there and they still have to spend Zoom meetings in a phone booth or something like that. So at the very least, if I have one recommendation, please share what are your expectations. Please put them in some sort of a guidance policy, and please talk with your team managers. Ask them to collect some feedback. Ask them to start with one day. And at Officer R&D, we started with one day, and every team could have decided like which day of the week they want to come to the office. And this has tremendous benefits, so people can actually see their teammates, and it's worth the commute, I would say. So that's something that usually universally works, more or less.
Absolutely. Put a purpose behind it for sure. For sure. All right, so those were the top three trends. Just to recap those, it was a consolidation of your hybrid work tech stack, more formalized hybrid work schedules, and then the struggle to bring employees back to the office will continue in 2024. So now we're actually going to run a poll. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started. I'm going to launch that now. So everyone, if you could please submit your responses, we'll give it a couple seconds here to get those in. If you can't see that poll, just let us know. Essentially looking what motivates you to commute to the office. Is it collaboration, on-site meetings? You have to be there. Office perks, better facilities. Perhaps there's standing desks at the office that you just don't have at your own house. Work-life balance, or do you prefer to work entirely remotely? Nice, a lot of participation. Thanks, y'all. Love it. Right now we have team collaboration in the lead. I'll give it a couple more seconds. Wow, fascinating. Yvonne, we have team collaboration. This working together in person at 43%. On-site meetings, so the mandatory meetings you need to attend, that's second at 26%. Third is work-life balance, the presence of clear boundaries between work and home. I certainly can understand that. When I leave the office, work's done, it's family time now, or it's your time now, personal time. Certainly understand that. And then following closely, office perks. And then last is actually nothing. Prefer to work entirely remotely. So very interesting there. So a lot of people here do see value in coming back to the office. Yvonne, initial reactions to those results.
Yeah, it kind of confirms. I hope we haven't really pushed people in that direction by the commentary that we made, but it kind of confirms the fact that people are really enjoying the team collaboration aspect of it. And yeah, of course, on-site meetings, if they're mandatory, you need to go. But the non-mandatory part is, again, seeing other people, talking with them, establishing a relationship, having a lunch or something like that. So again, I think that if you facilitate that, this is another confirmation that it can really work for your organization.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we did convince you in the last 3 slides, we did a good job. Excellent. All right, so just wrapping up very quickly. So as we discussed the top three trends, the consolidation of the hybrid work tech stack, more formalized hybrid work policies, and then the struggle to bring employees back, we will see those trends continue in 2024. So as we mentioned, for everyone who is remained on the call, we will present you with our 2024 Hybrid Work Trends Report, which will have 15 key insights and strategies for the future of work. Additionally, you will get the free hybrid work templates and how to thrive in hybrid work. So we'll be sending those off to y'all as well. Lastly, just want to mention on all of these trends, we are constantly working with customers who are seeing this daily. And we're positioning ourselves as not just a vendor, but a partner in your hybrid work program. So please, if you're interested in Office R&D hybrid and you're not already a customer, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to have a conversation with y'all, simplify your desk and meeting room booking, integrate seamlessly with both Microsoft and Google, and improve workplaces based on data as well. And lastly, the most popular one, promote in-person collaboration. All of this is available. We'd love to talk to you and help you out with your hybrid work program. With that, we will host a Q&A session. We have a few here. Yvonne, I'm going to pull these up, read them through, and then based on that, divvy out who should answer. How do the other 66% of employees prefer to work? Is it fully remote, in office, or a combination of both? Yvonne, what would you say here?
Yeah, I think this refers to the data that I've shared at the beginning about the general trends in 2023. So basically around 30% are going to remain basically remote. This is what the survey said, and around 10 to 20% are going to be on site fully. This is kind of the new policy that they're following.
Mm-hmm.
So 30% remote, 20% on site, around 50% hybrid, 56%.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you. Another question here is, what about the use of co-working spaces? Are you seeing businesses take advantage of these instead of having their own lease? I'd love for both of us to answer this. And I think, yes, you're seeing actually both. So you're seeing more of a hub and spoke model, right? You're seeing traditional commercial real estate presences. We're using software to manage those resource bookings, but you'll also notice there's a number of products out there, Liquid Space, Dasana, Upflex, just to name a few, which are all about enabling remote employees. If you don't have a physical office in Denver, it enables you to book co-working spaces. So you are seeing a pivot to hub and spoke where you're seeing both of these traditional commercial real estate mixed with co-working spaces as well. Yvonne, what are your thoughts?
Well, they closely follow yours. I think besides the benefits for remote employees, some companies, especially larger ones, are seeing the benefit of diversifying their real estate portfolio, basically closing or reducing the footprint that they have in some cities. I'm talking about large multinationals. These are the ones that usually benefit from such moves. And they decide to just rent a co-working space, so like a small office or a few desks here and there. And they basically allow desk sharing, which is again hybrid work, so they can really optimize the real estate. Another option is really for smaller companies that really like to provide a good vibe to their space, to really personalize it. There are a lot of co-working operators that are specialists in making your space really modern, and at the same time you benefit from the community, which also works great if you don't want to have long leases. So I would say I'm seeing a kind of an increasing trend, although I wouldn't say it's overwhelming still across the companies that we talk with.
Yeah, definitely. Another question here is, how does Office R&D manage hybrid work schedule? Is there reporting? So to answer this, the latter half of that question, is there reporting? Yes. We have what we call hybrid work schedules via workplace policies, where on an employee level, a team level, departmental level, or even a location level, you can set a minimum number of days of the week or even a required days of the week on that as well. You can enable check-ins for those bookings, so you'll know if it's a booking that was actually held and the employee checked in. So yes, we do have reporting on that. And we have a very nice user interface, which we have a sort of a command cockpit for your employees week as well, where it'll show them if they have a desk booking, they're in office or also remote as well. They can book right from there. So yes, certainly reporting on hybrid work schedules as well. Another question we have is, what tips or tactics have you seen others implement that have helped bring people back to the office or implement hybrid schedules if there is pushback? I think we named a couple. We have a couple customers that are incentivizing via stipends for transportation, as well as if you meet a minimum threshold, get a certain spiff on top of that. We've also had new programs where it is like that one customer that is bringing everyone in their cities together for new hire orientation, driving value behind bringing people to the office. So a number of different things. And the key takeaway there is get creative. One thing I've seen some customers do as well is appoint hybrid work promoters, right? You might have individuals interested in getting into workplace management. Get some city leaders to help foster those events and chair those social activities or those hybrid work programs. We see more options for hoteling and hot desking. I'll go ahead and take this one as well. Interestingly enough, yes, hot desking or hoteling, making sure we're all on the same agreement of what that is. You have a resource that's bookable on a daily or even hourly basis. That is certainly becoming the most popular option. You can get 5 employees at one desk every day of the week. Additionally, we're seeing a lot of hot offices, if you will. This was an assigned office. That person left over the last 4 years. We can make that bookable as well. So I think not just hot desking, but hot resources or hoteling in general of all resources is becoming extremely popular. How does your platform provide utilization for collaboration to know when people are getting together, who's in and where? A couple features we have here. We have a who's in feature. Would love to show it to you. Where on that office map, your employees can click on another employee and it'll take them directly to where that booking is. If there's a desk next to them, they can go ahead and book that. Another feature we just released was a favorites feature. So, if Yvonne and I working closely together on a project, I can actually set Yvonne as a favorite. When he books, I'll be able to see where he's booked. Additionally, if I book and I feel Yvonne would benefit by being there, I can actually make a booking and invite Yvonne to book, not only through our application, Slack, Teams as well. We are working on implementing our hybrid work program. Any first steps or tips? This is a great one. The first, Yvonne, do you want to take this one? I heard you jump in.
Let's start with your thoughts. You're closer to this.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I would say the biggest tip that I have is communicate early and communicate throughout with your employees. Yeah, it's the communication is key in relationships between partners and relationships between employees and employers as well, and be flexible. So communicate and be flexible. Yvonne, what about you?
Well, I remember when we kind of applied this to Office R&D, and we have been kind of used to this flexible type of working. There was a lot of pushback. So you need to have a very good answer to why. Because if you don't have a very good answer to why, people are just going to think, oh, they think I'm lazy or I'm just not doing my job, and they think that by getting me to the office, everything is going to work out for them. So it becomes kind of a little bit of a rebellion among people. So definitely have a very good reason why, as Teddy said, I think you should start with collecting feedback. So how many people are actually coming to the office? Why would they join? Why would they come to the office? Are there any people with that are commuting a long way or that have moved to another city? So you need to keep these things in mind before you create your policy. Once you have the data and you have the feedback, you can then make a more informed decision of, do you start with more kind of flexible, more lenient kind of schedule. Like you can say, you know what, we just want you to come 2 days per month in the office. This is how we did it. We're like, you know what, guys, we're going to ease into this. So we just want you to be here 2 days per month. And in the first month, we didn't even really track it, and we didn't even say anything. We just wanted to measure with Office R&D. We used, of course, we used our own tool. We just wanted to measure how many people are actually coming, how many people are following this policy to come 2 days per month. And after that, we became a little bit more insistent, trying to talk with managers that they should kind of get people back in the office, see if there's any feedback. So we did another pulse survey to understand how this change impacted people. We introduced more company events. Again, we added, I said food is not the best thing in the world, but when we were stocking the office with some snack and all that before, suddenly it all went away. So people were complaining there is not like enough snack and all that because everybody's coming back, and we kind of had to figure this part out as well. So once we moved through that stage of 2 days per week, then we went into a more formal schedule, and we actually asked managers to decide, like, basically the guidance was you need to come to the your team needs to come to the office 2 times per week. That's what we expect. So 8 times per month. Please gather feedback from your team, decide on the days you want to join. And we also give them some tips and tricks like make sure there's a team lunch, make sure you have your on-site meetings on all of those days. Like just enable your managers to implement that policy. And it kind of worked well. And then comes the hard part, because after you implement that, people slowly start forgetting about this, or they're trying to kind of go around it. So then tracking it and reminding people and figuring out which people are not coming, why is that? Is there a problem? This is the long-term game. And again, you have to collect feedback every 3 to 4 months and see if there are any changes that are required. In our case, we actually figured out that we need a second location that is nearby. I wouldn't say too nearby, but that was more convenient for some people. So we got a second location in a co-working space. It worked great because this was the feedback from people. And then they were very happy that we're taking into consideration that feedback and we're giving them another option where they can actually gather as a team. So that's how we did it at Office R&D. That's what I can share as tips and tricks.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thanks, Ivan. And last but certainly not least, thanks to everyone who joined us today. As we said, we'll distribute out the recording to y'all. Thank you very much for your time and attention. And if you ever need anything at all, y'all know how to reach us. See y'all.
Thank you very much to everyone. Have a great day. Bye.